Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to solve Cambridge IGCSE Additional Mathematics Paper 1, which is non-calculator, in a session February-March 2025 Paper 1-2. So let's start with the first question. Okay, as you guys can see, they have provided us the list of formulas: quadratic equation, binomial theorem, arithmetic and geometric series, some identities and some trigonometric formulas. So no need to memorize these formulas. Again, keep it in mind that calculators must not be used in this paper. It is a non-calculator paper, right? Question number 1, part A. On the axis, sketch the graph of this function and this function, stating the intercepts with the axis. Just the intercepts, the x and the y intercepts. Let me take the first function as y equals to 4 absolute of x minus 1. Let's say y equals to 4 into x minus 1. When x is equals to 0, what is my y? Y would be equals to 4 into 0 minus 1. Y is equals to 4 into negative 1, and y would be equals to negative 4. Okay, and same when y would be equals to 0, what is my x? 0 equals to 4 into x minus 1 divided by 4 on both sides. This is 0 and this is 1, so 0 equals to x minus 1. 1 would be equals to the x, right? So from here, at the xy, this would be equals to 0 and negative 4, and here the xy, this would be equals to 1 and 0. Okay, for x-intercept is 1 and the y-intercept is negative 4, right? All right. Since it is an absolute value function, it means this term should be in absolute. So absolute of minus 1, the absolute of this. So for absolute function, the y-intercept would be 0 and 4. Moving to the next function, y equals to absolute of 3x plus 2. Y would be equals to absolute of 3x plus 2. You have to consider x is equals to 0. What is my y? Y would be equals to absolute of 3 into 0 plus 2. Y is equals to absolute of 0 plus 2. Y would be equals to 2. So what is my x and y? This is 0 and 2. The y-intercept is 2 and the x-intercept, let me solve for x-intercept by putting y value equals to 0. So when y equals to 0, we have 0 absolute of 3x plus 2. We can say 3x plus 2 would be equals to 0, and x would be equals to minus 2 over 3. Yes, minus 2 by 3 in, we can say, if I can say 2 times 3 times 0 and then 20, so 3 times 6 is 18, so this would be equals to minus 0 0.6667. Yeah. Okay, so let me sketch the x and the y intercepts on the grid. If I can label the x and the y intercepts: 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4 and 5, and the other x's we have 1 2 3 4, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3 and negative 4. Okay, both are absolute functions, so it must be at the positive i's, not the negative i's, right? Okay, the x-intercepts are 0. Okay, let me label these x and the y x-intercept. This would be negative 2 by 3 and 0. Okay, the x-intercept is 1 and minus 2 by 3. Okay, let me solve the first one. As you can see, for this function, the x-intercept is 1 and the y-intercept is 4. X-intercept is 1 and the y-intercept is 2 and 4. Let's say this is 4 and this is negative 4. Okay, so if we do this line, no need to extend at the bottom because it is, I will show you with the pencil because it is already a absolute function. So now you have to join. This is the sketch for the first function. Now for the sketch for the second function, the x-intercept is minus 2 by 3 and the y-intercept is 2. Okay, the y-intercept is 2 over here and the x-intercept is minus 2 by 3. This is equals to 1, negative 1. And negative 2 by 3 is negative 0.6. In the middle, closer to 1. This would be negative 2 by 3. Okay. You have to join the y-intercept with the x-intercept. Okay, now what is the other part of this curve? We don't know, right? So for this, we have to fix any other point. Let's say the x values when negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. This is your choice. You can fix any x value and solving for the y values, right? So let's say x is equals to minus 2. Let x is equals to negative 2, y equals to absolute of 3 into minus 2 plus 2, y is equals to absolute of 3 times 2 is minus 6 plus 2. Okay, y equals to absolute of negative 4, so y would be equals to 4. Okay, at negative 2 the answer is 4. This is negative 2 and here we have 4. This is the other point, so we can join it. Here is the opening of this absolute function. So this is how the sketch of this graph look like. Now for part B, solving the inequalities. You have to solve the inequality. It is a 4-mark question without using graph. You have to solve this inequality. Let's see. Now we have, all right. So we can say 4 into x minus 1 is less than equals to plus minus into 3x plus 2. We have to remove the absolute sign. And whenever we are removing the absolute signs on both sides, we have to replace it with the positive and the negative sign, right? Let we can say 4 into x minus 1 is equals to 3x plus 2. So 4x minus 4 equals to 3x plus 2. Okay. And we can say this is 4x minus 3x. This would be equals to 2 plus 4. This is x would be equals to 6. And the other we can say 4 into x minus 1 is equals to negative of 3x plus 2. 4x minus 4 equals to negative 3x negative 2. 4x plus 3x is equals to minus 2 plus 4. 7x is equals to 2 and x is equals to 2 by 7. Okay, we have two solutions for x because we have to solve the inequality just solving the x values. So basically x equals to 6 and x is equals to 2 by 7. These are basically the critical points, right? Now we have to check that when this this function is less than and equals to this function. Okay, this function is with the red one. When this function is less and equals to that function at this point and some over at 2 by 7, this point is point of intersection is 2 by 7 and it also intersect at the point x equals to 6 as well. Okay, so when the values are between 2 by 7, its function is less between 2 by 7 and between 6, and equality is also included because of this equality. We can say 2 by 7 is less than equals to x is less than equals to 6. You can see this red function is less than and equals to this green function because they have 2 point of intersection. The first one is 2 by 7 and the other one it intersect at this point at x is equals to some 6, right? When we extend the lines it will intersect, and when you extend this line it also intersect, right, at x equals to 6. So between 2 by 7 and between 6, the function, this function is less than and equals to this function. Equality is also included because of the equalities in the function. I hope this makes sense now. Question number 2. The diagram shows the curve y equals to a cos bx plus c for x is between minus 180 to plus 180. It is given that a, b, c are integers. They can be a positive or negative whole numbers. Find the values of a, b, and c. A is the amplitude, b we can find with the help of the period, and C is the equation of axis. So let's solve this. So as you can see, the maximum point of the curve is 3 and the minimum point of the curve is negative 7. So we can easily guess the value of A and the value of C. So A is the amplitude. To get the A value, we can say the maximum minus the minimum and divided by 2. This would be A. So the maximum point is 3 minus the minimum is negative 7 and divided by 2. This would be equals to 3 plus 7 by 2. This would be equals to 10 by 2 and equals to 5. So we have done with the A value, which is equals to 5, right? So here A equals to 5. This is the first, this is an integer as well. Now let me solve for the C value. So for the C value, we have the formula maximum plus minimum divided by 2. C equals to maximum is 3 plus the minimum is negative 7 and divided by 2. So C would be equals to 3 minus 7, which is negative 4 divided by 2, and this is negative 2. So we have done with the C, which is negative 2. It is also an integer. Now let me solve for the third constant, which is B. We can get the B value with the help of a period. Alright, as we know that the period is one complete cycle. The complete cycle from one maximum to another maximum, this would be the period. And to get the B value, we have to use the formula that B would be equals to 360 degree over the period. Because this, the domain is in degrees, so we are doing degrees. If it is in radians, we do 2 pi over period, right? So for this, to get the B value, we must know about the period. 360 degree over some period, you will easily get the B value. As you can see from this here, we have to find this X a coordinate, that would be the period from one maximum to another maximum. As you can see, this maximum, the X value is 0. And then we have some minimum at this point, and then again we have a maximum at this point. This would be the one complete cycle, the difference between one maximum to another maximum. This number subtract this number, that would be the period. Okay, so as you can see, this is starting from 0, 1, 2 and 3, and there we have 180. Okay, it is from 0, and then we have one minimum, then maximum, and then 180 is again at minimum. Okay, so it means from 0 to 180, it is split into 3 portions, right? Minimum, maximum, and minimum. So 3 times 6 is 18 and 0. It means adding 60 each time. So at 0, this would be at 60. This would be at 120. And the other one is 60. 0 plus 60, 60 plus 60, 120 plus 60, right? So this maximum is at x is equals to 120, and this maximum is at x is equals to 0. Between 0 and 120, the difference is just 120. So the period of this curve is 120 degrees, right? 0 is cancelled with 0. 12 times 1 is 12, and 12 times 3 is 36. So the B value is 3, which is also an integer. Now question number 3. The point A has a coordinates minus 3, 6. The point B has a coordinate 7, negative 8. We have given the coordinates of point A and point B. Given that line AB is a diameter of a circle, we have to find the line AB, which is a diameter of a circle. Find the equation of a circle. Now let us visualize the situation. If I can roughly sketch a circle, right? This is the line AB, A and B. We have the coordinates of A, which is minus 3, 6, and B, which is 7, negative 8. This line is a diameter of a circle. We have to find the equation of circle. For equation of circle, we need the radius and we need the center. Okay, the center is the midpoint of diameter, right? As we know that center is midpoint of diameter. Okay, so now we have to find the midpoint of a diameter, that would be my center. So let's work for the center first. So we have midpoint of AB, adding the x components, which is minus 3 and 7, divided by 2, and and adding the y component 6 minus 8 and divided by 2. This would be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This would be 4 by 2 and here negative 2 by 2. 2 times 2 is 4 and 2 times 1 is 2. So the center is equals to 2 and minus 1. We have done with the center. Now from the center to A or the center to B, that would be my radius. Let's figure out the radius of that circle. Okay, so the radius is distance between M to A or M to B. M is the midpoint, right? This would be my M. Let's find out what is the radius. Okay, so the radius is, use the distance formula. So what is M? M is 2 and minus 1. Let's say A or B, you can take any 3, minus 3 and 6. Distance formula is x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square and the square root. X2 minus x1 is minus 3 minus 2 whole square plus 6 minus 1 whole square and the square root. X2 minus x1, y2 minus y1. This is root minus 5 square plus negative times negative is positive 1 and plus 6 would be 7 square. This would be root of 25 and 49. 49 and 25, their sum would be equals to 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 1 and 4. 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 74. This is root 74. That is my radius. Now let's find out the equation of circle. Equation of circle: x minus a whole square plus y minus b whole square equals to the radius square. A and b are basically the center, the coordinates of center, and this would be the radius r. Okay, let's simplify, substitute it into x minus 2 whole square plus y minus 1 would be plus 1 whole square and the radius square is 74. So that is the equation of circle. This is also okay, or if you open this formula of x minus 2 whole square and y plus 1 whole square and simplify, that is also okay, right? But the main thing is just to find the equation of circle. That is also correct. So we need to figure out what is the center and what is the radius. Question number 4, the polynomial p is given by, we have a polynomial p of x where a is a positive integer. It is given that 2x plus 1 is a factor of p of x. Part A, find the value of a. 2x plus 1 is a factor of p of x. It means we can say 2x plus 1 equals to 0. So what is x is minus 1 by 2. So p of minus 1 by 2 should be equals to 0 if it is a factor of p of x, right? Since it is given that 2x plus 1 is a factor of p of x, so it means p of negative 1 by 2 should be equals to 0, and let's solve for a. All right, so let's do this. So a, and the x is minus 1 by 2, its cube, plus 2a, x is minus 1 by 2, its square, plus a, x is minus 1 by 2, plus 2, this should be equals to 0. So this is minus a over 8 plus 2a into 1 over 4 plus a into minus 1 over 2 and plus 2 equals to 0. This is a and 1 cube minus 1 over 8. So minus, we can do minus a over 8 plus a by 2 minus a by 2 and plus 2 equals to 0. So positive and negative, this is cancel out. Minus a over 8, this would be equals to minus 2. Cancel out, a would be equals to 2 times of 8. That is equals to, wait a minute, here a square, the rest are a's. This is a square, right? So a square would be equals to 2 times 8 is 16. And what is a? A value is root 16. this is plus minus 4. But since we have given that a is a positive integer, it must be a positive, so a value is positive 4, not a negative 4. Part B, hence factorize p of x. So let me rewrite the polynomial p of x. This is a value is 4. So 4 square is 16, x cube plus 2 times of 4, x square plus 4 into x plus 2. So the polynomial p of x is 16x cube 8x square plus 4x plus 2. Let me factorize this. Since 2x plus 1 is a factor of p of x, so apply the syntactic division method over here. And simplify. So let's me to take the coefficients. For synthetic division, we need the coefficients of x cube, x square, and like the x terms, and reducing the cubic polynomial to quadratic one. So 16 is a coefficient of x cube, x square coefficient, x coefficient, and the constant term. So 2x plus 1 equals to 0. So x is minus 1 over 2. So we have to take minus 1 over 2. Bring the first term 16 as it is. Now minus 1 by 2 times by 16. 2 times 8 is 16. It is minus 8. When we add them up, that is 0. And this is times by 0 is 0. And when we add them up, this is equals to 4. And 4 by 2 would be 2 minus 2. And when we add them up, we have 0. Okay, so the first, now the polynomial p of x becomes x minus 1 by 2, this, and 16x square plus 0x plus 4. It is reduced to a quadratic. When we apply the method of syntactic division, the power of the polynomial reduced, cubic reduced to quadratic, and quadratic reduced to the linear one. Now it is a quadratic, we can easily simplify this. Okay, so now we have p of x is equals to x minus 1 over 2. Wait, let me explain you what I did a mistake here. So as you can see, the x value is minus 1 by 2. So x plus 1 by 2 would be equals to 0. So it is plus. When you solve x, this would be minus 1 by 2, right? Okay, now this is 16x square plus 4. P of x, this becomes, if I can take 2 as an LCM, so 2x plus 1 over 2. And let me take 4 common. 4 times 4 is 16x square plus 1. Okay. Now p of x becomes 2 times 2 is 4. 2x plus 1 into 2 into 4x square plus 1. For this simplification, p of x is equals to 2x plus 1 and 8x square plus 2. So this is the factorized form of the polynomial p of x, the linear and the quadratic factor, because they said hence factorize p of x. They do not say that you have to find the linear factor. So this is just a factorized form. That is okay. Moving to part C, hence solve this equation p of x equals to 0, has show that has only one real root. So we have p of x which is equals to 2x plus 1, and we have 8x square plus 2. You have to put this equals to 0. So 2x plus 1 equals to 0. From here x is equals to minus 1 by 2, and this is a real root, right? Now for the other one, we can say 8x square plus 2, this is equals to 0. 8x square equals to negative 2. 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 4 is 8. 4x square equals to negative 1. X square is negative 1 over 4. And what is x? X would be equals to plus minus root minus 1 over 4. Whenever we have a negative number in a square root, that is a complex root. So it is proof that the equation p of x equals to 0 has only one real root, and that real root is minus 1 by 2. Question number 5, part A. Write the standard form of a quadratic equation in this form where a, b, and c are constants. Okay, so whenever you have to convert the standard form to vertex form, you have to take the coefficient of x square common from the first and the second term. This would be x square minus x plus 3 is outside. The coefficient of x square is 2. Take it common from the first and the second term. Now we have 2 into x square minus x. Now take the coefficient of x, which is negative 1. You have to divide it by 2, which is minus 1 by 2. Take its whole square, which is 1 by 4. 1 square is 1 and 2 square is 4. So add 1 by 4 and subtract 1 by 4 inside the bracket, and plus 3 is outside. So 2, combining the first three terms, x square minus x plus 1 by 4 plus 2 into minus 1 by 4, this 2 with the next term, plus 3. So 2, this, the square is completed, x square and 1 by 4 is a square of 1 by 2 and negative sign. So x minus 1 by 2, its whole square. Here we have negative 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, negative 1 by 2 and plus 3. So 2 into x minus 1 over 2 whole square. Now 2 times 3 would be 6, and 6 minus 1 would be 5 over 2. So a value is 2, the b value is minus 1 by 2, and the c value is 5 by 2. These are all constants. Now the second part b, it is given that we have the function f of x for x is less than equals to p. Part b, write down the greatest value of p for which f has an inverse. Okay, so we can, this f of x is basically the same function, right? So we can say f of x can be written as 2 into x minus 1 by 2 whole square plus 5 by 2, right? Now, f of x has an inverse. When it has an inverse, function has an inverse when it has a restricted domain. When it has a restricted domain. When the domain is restricted, like x value is less than or equals to p, then it has an inverse. So what is that value of p? So as we can see, this is the vertex form of quadratic. And keep it in mind, when we have a vertex form of a quadratic equation, its domain is less than or equals to the x coordinate of the vertex. Okay, so its domain is x is less than or equals to x coordinate of the vertex is 1 by 2. So the p value is, the greatest value of p is 1 by 2, so that it has an inverse. I hope this makes sense. So let me repeat it one more time, that the function has an inverse when it has a restricted domain. So when the domain is restricted, we have some x values which are less than or equals to some number, then it means the function has inverse, the inverse of that function exists. So we have to write down that largest value of p. So when we have the standard form of a quadratic converted into the vertex form, we can easily find out its domain and the range as well. So for the vertex form, the domain should be less than and equals to the x coordinate of the vertex, and the range should be less than or equals to the y coordinate of the vertex. Less or greater depends on the leading coefficient. If it is positive, it's greater. If it is negative, it is less. But in domain, it is already given that it is less, so no need to confuse with the greaters or the less sign. So keep it in mind, the domain is always less than or equal or greater than or equals to the x coordinate of the vertex. That p is basically the x coordinate of the vertex. The vertex is basically 1 by 2 and 5 by 2. That is the vertex. 1 by 2 and 5 by 2, these are the coordinate of the vertex. The x coordinate is 1 by 2, so that would be the p value. Now for part c, using this value of p, write down the range of the function. As I explained you, that the range of the function is always range of the vertex form of a quadratic equation is always less than or equals to or greater than or equals to less or greater depend on the leading coefficient. Since the leading coefficient is positive, so it is greater than and equals to the y coordinate of the vertex, which is 5 by 2. Now for part D, using this value of p, find an expression for f inverse. Okay, so we have f of x is equals to 2 into x minus 1 over 2 whole square plus 5 over 2. Okay, for f inverse of x, we have to replace this is basically equals to y equals to that function, right? Now x would be equals to 2 into y minus 1 by 2 square plus 5 by 2. Now solving for y, so x minus 5 by 2, this would be 2 into y minus 1 by 2 square. Shift this term just. Now dividing by 2 on both sides. X minus 5 by 2 divided by 2 equals to y minus 1 by 2, its whole square. Now take its square root on both sides. Plus or minus is basically the square root. Okay, the root x minus 5 by 2 divided by 2 plus minus equals to y minus 1 by 2. The square and the square root is cancelled out. So what is y? This y is my f inverse of x. Keep this in mind. Now this y would be equals to 1 by 2 is on the other side. It becomes positive plus minus root x minus 5 by 2 over 2. Now we have to select which sign we have to take. We have to take a positive sign or a negative sign. It depends on the value of p, because that is why they said in the question. It depends, the decision of the positive or negative sign depends on the p value. Since the p value we have given is 1 by 2. For f of x, x should be less than or equals to 1 by 2. It is less, so we have to take a negative. Okay, so we can say the expression for f inverse of x, it becomes 1 by 2 minus root x minus 5 by 2 over 2. Question number 6, it is given that tangent theta is this and theta is between 180 degree to 360 degree. Part A, find the value of cos theta. When we have a tangent theta, you have to find for cos theta. So for this, let's use the identity as we have given in the paper, that secant square of A equals to 1 plus tan square A. Use this identity. 1 plus tan square theta equals to secant square theta, and we know that secant theta is a reciprocal of cos theta, so we can easily get the value of cos, right? So secant square theta, this would be equals to 1 plus tan square theta. Tan square is root 5 over 5, its whole square. This is 1 plus root 5 square is 5 and 5 square is 25. 5 times 5 is 25. 1 plus 1 over 5. This is 5 plus 1, which is 6 over 5. Okay. So secant is a reciprocal of, secant is basically 1 over cos square theta is 6 over 5. Take a reciprocal on both sides. So cos square theta is 5 out of 6. And take a square root on both sides. So cos theta would be equals to plus minus root 5 over 6. Which one we have to take, a positive or a negative? It again depends on the domain we have given. The domain is between 180 to 360 degree. Okay, 180 to 360. The cos is positive or negative? So between 180 to 360, the cos value is negative. So we can say the solution is cos of theta is negative root 5 out of 6, because cosine is negative in the given domain. Now moving to the second part B, Find the value of sine theta. Use the identity which is given in the question, that sine square a plus cos square a equals to 1. So we can say sine square theta plus cos square theta, this is equals to 1. So what is sine square theta, which is 1 minus of cos square theta. Cos square theta is root 5 over 6. This is cos square theta is just 5 by 6, not root. Sorry, because cos square is 5 by 6 and then we took the roots. Further simplification, sine square theta is 6 times 1 is 6, and from 6 take away 5 is 1 out of 6. So sine theta is again plus minus root 1 over 6. Again, which we have to take a positive or negative. Again, sine is negative in the given domain. Sine is also negative from 180 to 360. So we have to pick the negative one. Sine theta equals to negative 1 over root 6. You can take root 1 over 6, or root 1 is just 1. So you can take it outside as well. Both are correct. Part C, find the value of secant theta plus cot theta. Give your answer in this form where A, B, C are integers. Secant theta and cot theta. Okay, so we have the secant theta. We have done. Secant square theta is, okay, let me use cos of theta. We have done is minus root 5 by 6. And sine theta we have done is minus root 1 over 6. Okay, so what is secant theta? Secant theta is basically 1 over cos theta. So 1 over minus root 5 over 6. This is minus root 6 over 5. Okay, and what is the cot theta? Cot theta is cos theta over sine theta. Cos is minus root 5 by 6, and here we have minus root 1 over 6. Negative is cancelled with negative. Root 5 over root 6 over root 1 over root 6. Root 6 is cancelled with root 6. Just root 5 over root 1 is left. Root 1 is just 1. So root 5 is the answer. Now we have to add them up. Okay, so we have to solve secant theta plus cot theta. Okay, here is secant, here is cot. Let me add them up. So we have minus root 6 over 5 and plus cot value is root 5. We have to convert it into this form, a plus b root c over root 5. Okay, minus root 6 over root 5 plus root 5. This would be minus root 6 plus root 5 into root 5, its square, divided by root 5. Further simplification, we can say minus root 6 plus 5 divided by root 5. Or we can say 5 minus 1 root 6 over root 5. This is in the form of a plus b root c over root 5. A, B, C are integers. What is A? A is 5, B is minus 1, and C would be 6. So this is written in exactly this form. Question number 7. The diagram shows the part of the curve and a part of the line intersecting at a point A. We have a curve and we have a line. Part A, find the coordinates of K. We have to find the point of intersection of this curve and the point of intersection of a line. That would be the coordinates for A, right? So the point of intersection of line and curve. This is the curve and this is the line. Put both of them equal. So 5 over x plus 1 plus 2, this would be equals to 2x plus 1 because both are y's. So plug that y value over here or this y value over here, or just compare both of them. Okay. Now, okay, let me solve for the coordinates, means x and the y both coordinates. Simplify. So 5 over x plus 1, this would be equals to 2x plus 1 and subtract 2. So 5 over x plus 1 equals to 2x minus 1. Cross multiplied, 5 equals to 2x minus 1 into x plus 1. This would be equals to 5 into 2x into x is 2x square. 2x into 1 is 2x. Now negative 1 with x is negative x and negative 1. Now here we have 2x square. These are x. Minus 1 and shifting this minus 5 equals to 0. So 2x square plus x minus 6 equals to 0. Okay. Now we have to solve for the coordinate of x. Okay. Let me do it on the other side. Have some space. Apply the quadratic formula. 2x square plus x minus 6 equals to 0. A value is 2, B value is 1, and the C value is negative 6. Apply the quadratic formula. X is equals to negative of the B value plus minus square root of B square minus 4 times the A value and the C value. The square root and divided by 2 times of the A value. So x is equals to minus 1 plus minus root 1 square is 1, negative times negative is positive, 4 times 2 is 8, and what is 8 times 6? 8 times 6 is equals to 48. 2 times 2 would be 4. 1 plus minus root 40 minus 1, 49. 48 plus 1 over 4. Root of 49, 49 is the square of 7. 7 times 7 is 49. So its root is just 7 minus 1 plus minus 7 over 4. So we have x is equals to minus 1 minus 7 by 4. X is equals to minus 1 plus 7 over 4. So this is minus 8 over 4. 4 times 2 is 8. This is negative 2. Right. The other one is 6 by 4, and that is 2 times 3 is 6, and 2 times 2 would be 4. Which x coordinate of A we have to use? For A, the point of intersection of the line and the curve, at this point the x should be positive. Here you can see x is positive, so pick the positive value of x. This is the x coordinate for the point A. Let me solve for the y coordinate. The x is already done. So the y is equals to 2 times of the x value plus 1. Plug into the line. 2x plus 1. 2 is cancelled with 2. This would be 3 plus 1. That is equals to 4. So we can say the point A has a coordinates x, y. The x is 3 by 2 and the y is equals to 4. Here the x value is 3 by 2 and here the y is equals to 4. Y is 4 over here. That is a coordinate of the point, coordinates of AB. Now for part B, find the exact area of the shaded region. Let's look at the shaded region. We have to find its exact area. Okay. So the exact area is basically the area under the curve. When x is 0 till x is equals to 3 by 2, the area under this curve, right? Subtract this one because this one is not shaded. The area under the curve will cover all this area. From this point till this point, all the area it will cover. So we have to find for this area only. So the area under the curve, subtract the area of this shape. This shape is a trapezium. You can see it has two parallel sides and it has a height as well. So it is a trapezium. We have to subtract the area of a trapezium from the area under the curve. We will get the shaded area. So for trapezium, we need the two parallel sides. Area of a trapezium is half sum of parallel sides multiplied by the height. So the height is this 0 to 3 by 2. The height is just 3 by 2. These are the two parallel sides, this side and this side. So this side is from 0 to 4. So this length is 4. It is okay. What is this length? What is this point? So this is a point, the y, when x is equals to 0 on this line, what would be the y? Okay, so y value is 2 into 0 plus 1. So y is equals to 1. So here the y value is 1. So this length is 1, this length is 4. These are the two parallel sides. Multiply by the height and divided by 2. So we can say the shaded area is area under the curve minus area of trapezium, right? Let's find out that area. So that shaded area is becomes area under the curve is basically integration of the curve from 0 to 3 by 2. The curve is 5 over x plus 1 plus 2 with respect to dx. You see area under the curve is integration of this curve from this limit 0 to 3 by 2. Minus area of a trapezium is half sum of two parallel sides. The two parallel sides, this is 4 and this is 1. 4 plus 1 multiply by the height of that trapezium. This is the height from 0 to 3 by 2. 3 by 2 is the height. Okay. So now we have 5. 1 over x plus 1. Its integration is ln of x plus 1 plus 2, and x is the integration of the constant from 0 to 3 by 2 minus this is 1 by 2 into 5 into 3 by 2. Apply the upper and the lower limit. We have 5 ln of x is 3 by 2 plus 1 plus 2 into 3 by 2. The lower limit is minus the lower limit, put the 0, 5 ln of 0 plus 1 minus 2 into 0. Here we have a minus. 5 times 3 is 15 and 2 times 2 would be 4. Further simplification, we have 5 ln of 2 times 1 is 2 and 2 plus 3 would be 5 by 2 plus 2 is cancelled with 2. We have 3 minus ln of 1 minus 0 minus 15 over 4. Ln of 1 is also equals to 0. Okay, now we have 5 ln of 5 by 2 plus 3 minus 15 over 4. All right. Now we can say we have 5 ln of 5 by 2. We have 4 times 3 is 12 minus 15 by 4. 5 ln of 5 by 2. This is negative 3 by 4. So that is the exact area of the shaded region. Since we do not allow to use a calculator in this paper, so you can keep the answer as it is. Question number 8, the first term of a geometric progression is 10. This geometric progression has a positive common ratio. R value is positive. The first term of an arithmetic progression is also 10. The arithmetic progression has a negative common difference. D is negative. The second term of geometric progression is the same as a fourth term of arithmetic progression. Okay, the geometric progression has a term a r power n minus 1 and arithmetic progression has a term a plus n minus 1 into d. Okay, the third term of geometric progression is the same as a sixth term of an arithmetic progression. Part A, find the values of r and the value of d. Let me make the two equations with the help of the conditions given to us. That the second term of this is the nth term for geometric progression and this is the nth term of the arithmetic progression. Both have the first term 10. The a value is 10. Right. So for the geometric progression, we have 10 r to the power n minus 1, and for arithmetic progression, we have 10 plus n minus 1 into d. The second term of the geometric progression is 10 r power 2 minus 1 is the second term. This would be equals to the fourth term of arithmetic progression 10 into 4 minus 1 plus 4 minus 1 into d. So this is 10 r equals to 10 plus 3d. This is the equation in terms of r and d. 10r equals to 10 plus 3d. This is my first equation. The second equation is we have given that the third term of the geometric progression 10r to the power 3 minus 1, this would be equals to the sixth term 10 plus 6 minus 1 into d. So 10r square equals to 10 plus 5d. This is my second term in r and d. Let me solve the two equations. If we can, okay, let me get rid of d because this is r and this is r square. Okay, so if we multiply the first equation by minus 5 and the second equation by 3, opposite coefficients, right? 5 times 10 is minus 50r equals to minus 50. 3 times 5 is 15 minus 15d. This is 3 times 5 is 30 r, 3 times 10 is 30 r square, 30 plus 15d. Let me add them up. 15d and minus 15d is cancel out. Here we have 30 r square minus 50 r. This would be equals to, from 30 take away 50 is negative of 20. Okay, so if I divide all of them by 10, so we have 3r square minus 5r plus 2 equals to 0. This is my equation in terms of r. So we have to apply a quadratic formula to solve for r and then plug into the first or second equation to solve for d. Let me apply a quadratic formula over here. So r equals to, the a value is 3, the b value is negative 5, and the c value is 2. R equals to negative of b is also minus 5, plus minus root b square minus 4 times the a and the c divides 2 times of a. Okay, r is 5 plus minus root 25 minus 4 times 3 is 12 and 12 times 2 is 24 divides 6. R would be equals to 5 plus minus root 1 over 6. 5 plus minus 1 over 6. So what is R? 5 plus 1 by 6. 6 over 6, that is 1. Or R equals to 5 minus 1 over 6, which is 4 over 6, that is 2 by 3. So we have two R values, which is 1 or 2 by 3. So let me write this down. R is equals to 1 or R is equals to, and it is 2 by 3. Let me solve for the D value on these two R's. The D, we can use equation 1. Put R in equation 1. Here is the equation 1. 10R equals to 10 plus 3D. 10R equals to 10 plus 3D. We have to solve for D. So 10R minus 10 divided by 3, this would be my D. Plug. 10 into 1 minus 10 divided by 3. This would be 10 minus 10 over 3. 10 minus 10 is 0 over 3. This is 0. This is the D. So here the D equals to 0 and R is equals to 1. Now the next one is 10 into 2 by 3 minus 10 over 3. This is my D. Just plug the D. Our value is 2 by 3. Okay, 2 times 5, 2 times 10 times 2 would be 20 over 3 minus 10 over 3. This is the D. Further simplification, we have 20 minus 3 times 10 is 30 over 3 into 3 is D. This is negative 10 over 9. This is my D. Okay, so the D value is minus 10 over 9 and the R value is 2 by 3. Now which value we have to pick for D and R? as we have given that r should be positive and the d should be negative. So here the r is positive and d is not negative, but here the r is positive and the d is negative. This implies r is 2 by 3 is positive and d is equals to minus 10 over 9. So this value we have to take is negative according to the given condition in the question, right? Moving to part B, determine whether the geometric progression has a sum to infinity. The geometric progression has a sum to infinity when r absolute value of r is less than 1. So what is r? R is 2 by 3. So absolute value of 2 by 3, is it less than 1? Yes. So we can say it has a sum to infinity, because 2 by 3 is equals to 0.6667. So this is less than 1. So it means geometric progression has sum to infinity. Question number 9, solve this equation. This is a base 2 and here the base is x plus 1. Okay, so we have to use a change of base formula over here. Okay, let's make the base of 2. Log base 2 into x plus 1. The first term stays the same, minus 4 log base 2 over log base 2. Okay. In the numerator, we have to write down this 2, and in the denominator, write down this space x plus 1. This is equals to 3. Okay. Now take an LCM. Log base 2 into x plus 1, and this is also the same, so take it square, minus 4 log base 2 divided by log base 2 into x plus 1 equals to 3. As we know that log 2 is just 1. So now log base 2 into x plus 1, its whole square, minus 4, this is 1, and 3 is going to multiply with log base 2 into x plus 1, the cross multiplied. Further simplification, we have log base 2 into x plus 1, its square, minus 4 equals to 3 log base 2 into x plus 1. So shift this term on the other side, it becomes negative. So log base 2 into x plus 1, its square, minus 3 log base 2 into x plus 1 minus 4 equals to 0. For simplification, we have to suppose, we can say let y is equals to log base 2 into x plus 1 to make it understandable. So now y square minus 3y minus 4 equals to 0. This look like a quadratic equation in a variable y, right? Now let me simplify and get the values. We can easily factorize this. 1 times minus 4 is minus 4, and minus 4 plus 1 makes minus 3. So y square minus 4y plus y minus 4 equals to 0. Take y common, y minus 4 is left. Take 1 common, y minus 4 equals to 0. The two factors inside the bracket is same. I use a factorization method over here. The two factors are y minus 4 and y plus 1. So from here y minus 4 is equals to 0, and we can say y plus 1 is equals to 0. So the y value is 4 and here the y value is negative 1. So put the y value back, which is log 2x plus 1 equals to 4 and equals to negative 1, and simplify. Now we can say log 2 into x plus 1 equals to 4 and log 2 into x plus 1 equals to negative 1. Let me solve this first. So convert the logarithmic into exponential form. So we can say x plus 1, this becomes 2 to the power 4. So x should be equals to 2 to the power 4 subtract 1. So here x is equals to 16 minus 1. So x value is 15. This is the solution. Now here x plus 1 would be equals to 2 to the power negative 1, right? So x plus 1 equals to 1 by 2. 2 to the power minus 1 is is basically 1 by 2. So x is 1 by 2 minus 1. X is 1 by 1 minus 2 divided by 2. So x would be equals to negative 1 by 2. So these are the two solutions. Negative 1 by 2 and 15. Question number 10. Point P lies on this curve. The x coordinate of P is 5. Okay. The normal to the curve at P intersect the line at point Q. The point R is a reflection of Q in the tangent to the curve at P. Find the coordinates of R. There are so many things happening in this question. So let's solve this step by step. So let me read it again. The point P lies on the curve. This is the equation of curve. The point P lies on this curve. It has the x coordinate, which is 5. So P has some x and the y coordinate. So the x is 5. What is my y for the P? Let me solve for y. Since it lies on the curve, it must satisfy the curve. The y value is 5 into x is 5 plus 2 and its whole power is 2 by 3. Keep in mind, calculator is not allowed. 5 times 5 is 25. 25 plus 2 is 27 power 2 by 3, which is 27 to the power 2 by 3. And 27, we can write this down as 3 cube is 27 to the power 2 by 3. So this 3's cancel out with 3. So 3 to the power 2, that is equals to 9. So point P has a coordinate xy. The x coordinate is 5 and the y coordinate is 9. Okay, so we have done the first step. Now, normal to the curve P, to the curve at point P. So we have to find the equation of normal at point P. Okay, so equation of normal at P, which is 5 and 9. Okay, so the equation of normal is y minus y naught equals to minus 1 over the gradient at point P into x minus x naught. So what is my x naught and y naught? This is my x naught, which is 5, and this is my y naught, which is 9. Okay, now m is basically the gradient which we have to solve. Let me solve for m. This is dy over dx at the point P, which is 5 and 9. Okay, so we have the curve. How can we find out its derivative? We have to apply the power rule for this derivative. First, we have to apply the power, which is 2 by 3. The base function is 5x plus 2, power minus 1, the derivative of the base function, which is 5x plus 2. Okay, so 2 by 3 into 5x plus 2 to the power, the 3 is over here, and 2 minus 3 would be minus 1 over 3. And its derivative is just 5. X is 1 and the constant term derivative is 0. So we can say 2 times 5 is 10 over 3 into 5x plus 2 to the power 1 by 3. This would be the derivative. Now let me solve the derivative. Dy over dx at x is equals to 5. At point P, x coordinate is 5. Right. Okay, so we have 10 out of 3 into 5 times 5 is 25, and 25 plus 2 is 27, and 27 is a cube of 3. So 3 cube to the power 1 over 3. So 3's cancel out with 3. So 10 over 3 times 3 would be 9. So 10 by 9 is the gradient. Let me plug everything into the equation of normal, as they have given this separate sheet for this question. Okay, now we can say y minus y naught is 9 equals to negative 1 over the gradient is 10 by 9, 10 over 9, x minus x naught is 5. Okay, this is y minus 9 equals to minus reciprocal is 9 over 10 into x minus 5. This is the equation of normal. Right. Let me read the further part of this question. The equation of normal at P, the equation of normal to the curve at point P. So this is the equation of normal to the curve at point P. It intersects the line at point Q. So the line is x plus y equals to 11. This is the equation of line. The normal to the curve at point P and the equation of line, they two intersect at point Q. Okay, so let me find out their point of intersection. Okay, so point of intersection. Point of intersection is basically the point Q, which we have given that at point Q. Let's find out the x and the y coordinate of both of them. All right. From the line, we can say the y value is 11 minus x. Plug that y value over here. 11 minus x, and this is minus 9, equals to minus 9 out of 10 into x minus 5. Let me solve for the variable x. Okay, 9 and minus 11. 11 minus 9, 9, 10, 11, it's 2. 2 minus x. Cross multiplied with a 10 and minus 9. X minus 5. 20 minus 10x minus 9x plus 45. 5 times 9 is 45. Minus 10x plus 9x. Shift this term on the other side. It is 45 and minus 20. This is just x. 45 take away 20 is 25. The x coordinate is 20. It's negative, sorry. So x would be negative of 25. Let me solve for the y coordinate by plugging into this equation. Y would be equals to 11 minus the x. So y equals to 11 plus 25. 11 plus 25 would be equals to 36. So we can say the coordinates of point Q are xy. This is equals to minus 25 and 36. All right. Let me read the next part of the question. We have done with the point Q. The point R is a reflection of Q in the tangent to the curve at P. And find the coordinates of R. Okay, we have to solve for R. So what R is? R is basically the reflection of Q. Now we have the coordinates of Q, which is negative 25 and 36. Now let us visualize the situation, what they are trying to say. Point R is a reflection of Q. We have to solve for R. R must be a reflection of Q in the tangent to the curve at P. Okay, so in order to visualize the situation, let me draw the curve and explain you what is happening over here. Okay, I hope you guys can see. Okay, so let's say this is the x and the y coordinate. Okay, there is some curve. The curve is 5x plus 2 to the power 2 by 3. There is a curve. Let me draw a rough sketch of the curve. Let's say this is a curve, right? And we have to find the tangent to the curve at P. What is P? P has x coordinate 5. Let's say we have 5 over here. We have a 5 over here. So draw the tangent. This is the tangent to the curve at point P. P point is 5 and 9, right? Okay, and we know that tangent is always perpendicular to the normal. This is the equation of normal, and that is the equation, that is the tangent to the curve at point P. Okay, now normal to the curve at P intersect the line. This is a normal to this curve at point P. This normal intersect another line. Let's say this is a line where the normal intersect at point Q, and Q has a coordinates negative 25 and 36, I guess. Yeah, negative 25 and 36. I hope you guys understand it now. Let me repeat it again. Let's say we have a curve, right? So tangent to the curve at P. So I drew the tangent to this curve at point P, all right? And we know that tangent is always perpendicular to the normal. Now, the normal, this is a normal to the curve at point P, it intersect a line at point Q, right? Now, the point R is a reflection of Q. This is a point. Let's say the point R is over here. This is not the exact sketch. I'm just trying to explain you guys, right? Because negative 25, x value of negative 25 does not lies over there, it lies on the other side, right? So it is just a rough sketch to understand what is happening in the question. So R is basically a reflection of Q. It means the distance from R, Q to P and P to R, this distance is same. If it is a reflection, it means the distance is same. This is a reflection, right? So P is acting as a midpoint of these two. So R we can say is a point xy. So let me solve it. So we have the midpoint formula. The midpoint, adding the x components x1 plus x2 divided by 2 and the y components y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So the P serving as a midpoint in this case. So 5 and 9 is a midpoint and we have x and 25. So we can say x minus 25 by 2 and the other is one is y plus 36 over 2. Let me solve for x and y. So we can say x minus 25 over 2, this would be equals to 5 and y plus 36 over 2, this would be equals to 9. Let me simplify it further. So x minus 25, this is 2 times 5 is 10. So x would be equals to 10 plus 25. So x coordinate is equals to 35. Stop. So our x coordinate is 35. So y plus 36 is equals to 2 times 9 is 18. So y would be equals to from 18 take away 36. So y coordinate is negative 8 and minus 6. That would be equals to, let me do it over here, 36 and 18. Subtract. We have 2 and 16. 16 take away 8. 8, this is 8. And it's 1, so it's negative of 18. So the coordinates of R, the x and the y coordinates are 35 and negative 18. I hope the situation is understandable now. Question number 11. In the diagram, OA is a vector A, O to A, this is a vector A, O to B, this is a vector B. Okay, so we have given this. M is a midpoint. The point M is a midpoint of OB. M is the midpoint. If OB is B, okay, this length, O to B, this is a vector B. Then O to M is half B by 2. And M to B is also B by 2. It is a midpoint. And we have OA, this is a vector A. Okay. Next is the point N, this is a point N, is such that ON is 3 of NA. Okay, this is 3 times of this. What does it means? ON is basically 3 times of NA. Okay, so its coefficient is just 1, right? So we can say ON ratio NA, this is 3 ratio 1. Or we can say ON ratio NA, this would be equals to 3 ratio 1. So ON is in the ratio of 3 and NA is in the ratio of 1. So ON is basically 3 out of 4. The total ratio is 4. 3 out of 4 of this OA and this would be 1 out of 4 of this OA. Got it. The next part of the question says the lines B to N and A to M, they intersect at the point X. These two lines intersect at one point. Okay, what is next? BX, B to this X is lambda times Bn, where lambda is a constant. A to M is mu times of mx, is mu times of am, where mu is a constant. Find OX in terms of AB and lambda. Okay, O to X. Join O with X. Here is O and here is an X. We have to find what is O to X. Okay. In terms of lambda, we have to find lambda is in Bx. B to X is lambda times of Bn. Okay, we have to follow this path because you can follow Ox with the help the other path OA and O. And let me show you. Ox, you can follow the path OA and AX, but they said you have to find OX in terms of AB and lambda. So where is the lambda? Lambda is in this path. BX is lambda times BN. So OX follows the path of OB and BX. Okay, so what is Bx? B to X is lambda times of Bn. Okay, so write down Ox. Ox, O to X, O to B plus B to X. Okay, O to B is a vector B and Bx is lambda times Bn. We have to solve for n. Bn. Okay, B to n. It follows the path B to N, B to O, O, N. Okay. Let me do over here. What is BN? BN, this B to N. You have to go BN, B to O. First, you have to go from B to O and then from O to N. B to O is negative of B. OB is positive B and this is minus B. Plus O to N is 3 by 4 of A. 3 by 4 of A. Plug over here. B plus lambda times 3 by 4 of A and minus B. This is the value of OX in terms of A, B and lambda. Part B, find OX in terms of A, B and mu. So you can follow, we have to follow the next path from O to X, O to A, X. OX is OA plus AX. OA is a vector A. What is AX? We have given this. According to this information, mx, m to this x is mu of m to a. Okay, let me solve for ma first. Okay, m to a, m o o a. M to O is minus b by 2. O to A is just A. So we can plug mx is lambda ma, right? So mx is mu times of A minus b by 2. Okay, now we have mx, m to x. We can, for ox, we can follow this path, O to m and then m to x. Don't follow this path. Yes, ox is O to m and then m to x. Let me show you again. OM is b by 2. mx is this. This is b by 2 plus mu into a minus b by 2. This is the value of OX in terms of a, b and mu. Right. Now for part C, hence find the value of lambda and mu. So let me rewrite both values. We have OX, this that is b plus lambda 3 by 2, 3 by 4, a minus b. And we have OX that is b by 2 plus mu a minus b by 2. So now to solve the value of lambda and mu, we have to put both of them equal. So b plus 3 by 4 a lambda minus b lambda, this is equals to b by 2 plus a mu minus b by 2 mu. Okay. Now we have to do the comparison, comparing coefficients of a and b. coefficients of, let me compare the coefficients of A first. A has a coefficient 3 by 4 lambda. Here A has a coefficient just mu. This is my first equation, right? Now let me compare the coefficients of B. B has a coefficient 1 and minus lambda. And here B has these two coefficient, which is 1 by 2 minus 1 by 2 mu. This is my second equation. We have to solve these two equations to get lambda and mu. So from equation 1, the mu value is 3 by 4 lambda. This is my equation 1. Put in equation 2. Equation 2 is 1 minus lambda equals to 1 by 2 minus 1 by 2 mu, which is 3 by 4 lambda. Okay, so this is 1 minus lambda equals to 1 by 2 minus 1 times 3 is 3 and 2 times 4 is 8 lambda. Combining the lambda's term, minus lambda and plus 3 over 8 lambda. This is 1 by 2 and minus 1. Okay, take lambda common. We have 3 over 8 minus 1 and here 1 minus 2 over 2. Take the LCM. We have lambda and 3 minus 8 over 2, 8. And here we have minus 1 over 2. So lambda is minus 5 over 8 equals to minus 1 over 2. So you can cancel the negative signs on both sides. So from here the lambda would be equals to, from 1 by 2 multiply by 8 over 5, the reciprocal. 2 times 4 is 8, which is 4 by 5. So the lambda is 4 by 5. We have done with lambda, which is 4 over 5. Let me solve for the mu value. So plug that lambda into this equation to get the mu value, right? So from here we can say the mu would be equals to 3 over 4 lambda, which is 4 by 5. 4 is cancelled with 4. From here the mu is 3 out of 5. Lambda is 4 by 5 and the mu is 3 by 5. Question number 12. It is given that we have the function y in terms of x. Part A, find dy over dx. It's a product rule. So dy by dx, this would be equals to, the first function is as it is, the derivative of the second function, plus the second function is as it is, e to the power 3x plus 2, and the derivative of the first function, that is x. So the first x is as it is. The derivative of e to the power x is e to the power 3x plus 1, and the derivative of the power, which is just 3, plus e to the power 3x plus 2, and its derivative is just 1. So the simplified answer is 3x e to the power 3x plus 2 plus e to the power 3x plus 2, or we can say e to the power 3x plus 2 is common. We have 3x plus 1 is the derivative. Part B, hence find the integral. You have to do the integration of that function. Okay, integration of this function. So use the derivative information. We have done d by dx, hence it means you have to use the first part. D by dx of x e to the power 3x plus 2, this would be equals to 3x e to the power 3x plus 2 plus e to the power 3x plus 2. Okay, taking integral on all of them. So this derivative and integral is cancelled out. We have x e to the power 3x plus 2. 3 is outside. Integration x e to the power 3x plus 2 dx plus integration e to the power 3x plus 2 dx. So this integral we have to solve, right? So x e to the power 3x plus 2 equals to 3 e to the x e to the power 3x plus 2 dx, and in the integration of exponential is that exponential and its derivative and in the denominator, right? Plus some constant of integration, we can say. Okay, now the further simplification, we have to solve this. So shift these terms on the other side. We can say x e to the power 3x plus 2 minus 1 over 3 e to the power 3x plus 2 plus some constant of integration. You can take it negative, but that constant of integration is always a positive number. C prime, you can take negative c would be c prime. This is 3 times integration of x e to the power 3x plus 2 dx. Okay, as we have to solve for this, the coefficient is just 1, so divide all of terms with 3. So integration x e to the power 3x plus 2 dx, this would be equals to dividing by 3, 3 and 3, right? So x over 3 e to the power 3x plus 2 minus 1 over 3 is dividing 3 times 3 makes 9 e to the power 3x plus 2 plus some constant of integration, which is 3 by 2 is again a c. So that was the last question of our paper. If you have any queries, please let me know in the comment section, and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Take care.